And the same could be said in places like Fort Lauderdale, where there's hardly a soul out tonight. There's one pizza place open on A1A, and it is the busiest place in town tonight. But normally a place on a Friday night, they'd be teeming with many, many people coming out to the restaurants and bars and the hotels and the beaches. Hardly a soul to be found. You see the ocean behind me. Quite a few whitecaps this evening that we did not have yesterday. We've got a pretty good onshore flow now. Winds coming in from the northeast, and those winds are only going to get stronger. And we're anticipating tropical storm force winds, sustained tropical storm force winds by tomorrow morning. That'll be roughly double what we have right now. From time to time, by the way, over my shoulder, being able to see some lightning out there. We've got a thunderstorm line out there that's the very outer edges, the extreme edges of Hurricane Irma. Those storms about 70 miles away. When you got a clear view, you can see that lightning just clear as day. So that's just a hint of what's to come. The rain shield gets much heavier, much more intense, and much longer duration as we get closer and closer to Irma's landfall, likely now to happen in South Florida by Sunday morning, potentially being one of the most catastrophic hurricanes in Florida history, considering how much population is at risk and how many things there are to hit in modern times. Hopefully you can stick around. We have so much more coming up here tonight covering Irma. We'll take you back to Naples, check in with Paul Goodlow, and of course our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knapp.
To my left here, so you have these private groups working in partnership with the federal government to say just what you said. We're not forgetting about the people who are suffering from Harvey and only dealing with Irma. They're also dealing with Harvey. And then a little bit behind where those red shirts are, there are blue shirts. Those folks are the folks who wear those blue polo shirts you see sometimes at news conferences that Fox and other networks air. And I'm told what they focus in on are situational reports, Rick, where they coordinate exactly how to get the resources to the people that need it. So quick example, you want to bring in a whole bunch of bottled water and you're going to fly it in to some place in Florida. Well, there's only so much runway space. So they've got to coordinate with people on the ground. You can't just bring in all kinds of pallets of water if it's a Miami airport doesn't have the space for it. Then once you get that situational report, I'm told by officials here, they need to coordinate with someone else to say, how are we going to get the forklifts to go to that spot on the runway, get the water, and then bring it out to the shelters where people need it. This is a monumental task, but so far you've seen very high marks for this agency. But as everyone's been noting, they're going to be challenged yet again, guys.
All right, Ed Henry, thanks so much. Been an important fixture for us all week.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, let's bring in a person who knows more about Irma than perhaps anyone else, except for maybe Rick to my left. Dr. Ed Rappaport. He's acting director of the National Hurricane Center. Sir, what could you tell us tonight?
I can tell you that we still have a very dangerous hurricane, and what we're most concerned about is the storm surge we've been talking about. Yep. It's the rise of the waters can be driven ashore by the wind, and in this case, we're looking at a storm surge that could be 5 to 10 feet deep on the Florida Keys first, and then potentially on the southeast coast of Florida, followed by even higher storm surge, 6 to 12 feet on the southwest coast of Florida. These are examples from the past where you can see what storm surge looks like, kind of damage that can occur. And here's the area that we're most concerned about, colorized here. And you can see a long area along the east coast of Florida, then along the west coast, and then the Florida Keys. All are susceptible to storm surge. This is where we have a storm surge warning. First time the National Hurricane Center and National Weather Service has issued that this year. And what that indicates is that there is a likelihood or an expectation of life-threatening inundation. And that's what that 5 to 10 feet means.
How does this compare to storms that you've covered in the past? Or obviously, you're an experienced professional. You study these all of the time. We're talking about it as a historic storm. Is that accurate?
Yes. The last storm that was even close to this and had somewhat of similar track and intensity was way back in 1960, Hurricane Donna, what came ashore as Category 4 and caused extensive damage. Of course, Florida was much less populated, had much less infrastructure back then. So we're very concerned. We're most concerned, at least at first, for the Florida Keys, because the water level rise will come close to or potentially top a number of those keys. Then you have the wave damage on top.
Wow.
And as a meteorologist here, I'm interested in the last forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Strengthens it back to a Category 5 right before landfall somewhere along the Keys. What is the thinking from the National Hurricane Center on bringing that back to a 5?
We have to remember the difference between a Category 4, where we are now, and a Category 5, where we're forecasting is 5 miles an hour. all that is inconsequential when we're talking about winds that are 150 miles an hour. So 155, 160, 145, you're going to get the same, basically the same kind of damage, same kind of storm surge. We wouldn't want us to be fixating either on the exact intensity or the exact track. This is a large storm going to cause potentially devastating damage over a large area.
Jesse.
Doctor, I'm not a meteorologist, so excuse me if this is a stupid question. What variables are in play right now that can either make this thing more dangerous, speed up the winds, make it more treacherous, or slow this thing down and perhaps, lessen the blow?
The most significant factor that's ahead of us now, and really the only one, is if the center of the hurricane should cross the coast of Cuba. It's very close now, and we have a forecast that takes it right along the north coast before turning to the north. Ultimately, what that will do is it will bring the maximum wind speeds down, but it won't change really the overall structure. So what we were going to be expecting is still a large area of hurricane force winds, a storm surge, but maybe we won't have the winds at 155 or 160 miles per hour.
Dr. Rappaport of the National Hurricane Center, thank you so much. We appreciate your expertise. And coming up, more on the massive response to Hurricane Irma.
When it comes to heartburn, trust the brand doctors trust. Nexium 24 Hour is the #1.
Adam Klotz from the Fox Weather Center. Adam.
Hey, Jesse, I'm keeping my eye on South Florida at this point. This is a radar image. Again, that storm's still a ways to the south, but we're beginning to see some of these bands of thunderstorms work closer and closer to the Florida coast, and actually seeing a couple of thunderstorms firing up there right now. The brunt of it's still a ways away, but you're beginning to see that inch closer and closer. The eye wall of this storm still all the way down to the south, right now running right up along the coast of Cuba. And as we've learned here over the last half an hour or so, if this can track out over the coast a little bit more, get a little bit more land, maybe that slows it down a little bit. But for now, we're expecting to see this run just along the coast or just north of the coast before eventually making a turn. And more recently, our models are in agreement that this is going to run right up the west coast of Florida. This is our GFS and our Euro model. I'll put it into motion for you. Think of a landfall early on Sunday morning, and both of them seeing that turn and then basically running right up the coast or to the center here of Florida, taking you throughout your day on Sunday into Monday before eventually running your way up into Georgia, and even there, getting up into the middle of Georgia, bringing some very powerful winds that entire direction. So no surprise here, hurricane watches and warnings in South Florida. Actually, probably going to become a warning in Central Florida before long. And I'll leave you guys with this. Remember, there's Irma, but we still have Jose back behind it, likely going to run through some of those same islands in the Lesser Antilles. So folks who have just been absolutely devastated have to be paying attention to another storm that's just around the corner, Jesse.
All right, Adam, thank you very much. We're going to be right back with live reports in Florida.
Everybody has to have their shutters up, get fans, get batteries for their flashlights, get candles, and that's it. Weather it out.
Including evacuations, need to be done by these times. Now, I wanted again to highlight some of the key evacuations in southern Florida and on the Gulf Coast of Florida. The Keys, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, mobile homes for everybody. Of course, everybody in the Keys. There's no safe place in the Keys in this event. And mobile homes in a lot of zones in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach still under evacuation instructions. Don't think that it can't shift back and get a little closer to you all, and with a bigger hurricane that could still generate life-threatening storm surge even if it comes ashore to your west. Now, on the Gulf Coast of Florida, in Collier and Lee counties, they have expanded the evacuation instructions today because of this increased threat of storm surge. Do what your local officials tell you to do, and if you're in these counties and you don't feel safe, you're in a storm surge warning and you don't know what to do, call your local officials and they can help you figure out where to go and how to get there. All the way up into Pinellas County, Tampa Bay area, where they've got Zone A mandatory evacuations. And again, this is not just a storm surge issue, Paul, because all of these areas on the Gulf Coast
anyway. I wouldn't wait
are
till
saying
somebody
get out
told
of
me.
mobile homes. Paul, back to you.
Definitely. Thanks, Dr. Rick Knapp here, our hurricane expert. And I'm in Collier County here where Naples Beach is as well. And this is one of the places where we have mandatory evacuations. In fact, they've actually expanded the area for evacuations earlier today. And now joining us on the phone is Dan Summers with the Collier County Emergency Management Agency. And you guys expanded your mandatory evacuation today. But now we're getting word that some of your shelters are already at capacity here.
Yep.
So what advice do you have people who still need a place to shelter? Will they be turned away say if they come to one of the shelters here in Collier County?
Paul, thank you. There are some shelters nearing capacity, but the component here is that folks will still have additional opportunities early in the morning. We're working on a very large list of additional shelters tomorrow morning, and we'll get an early start on that, on getting that information out. So shelters that are full are referring people to other shelters. They're not being turned away. They're just being diverted to other shelters. Then we will make sure that everyone is safe and secure tonight. And we're working throughout the night to expand a very large list of shelters of last resort that will be open tomorrow morning. And we want to remind everyone that our evacuation areas will expand in the morning in conjunction with the additional storm surge values.
Millions of people
and we will
without
open
nowhere to
additional nearby shelters as refuges tomorrow. So get a good night's rest tonight, get up early in the morning, pay very close attention to local instructions. We'll have additional facilities available. We have some other facilities that we're opening tonight that we will put notices out on. But we too are echoing the concern about the significant storm surge, and will formally expand and provide more detail tomorrow morning on these expanded evacuation areas due to the growing storm surge threat.
To be more
and then
devastating
talk about what people can bring to shelters. And when I was covering Harvey, people didn't want to leave because they had several pets. So will you accept people who have pets at the shelters here in Collier County?
We have opened a large number of pet-friendly shelters, and there are a couple of logistical issues at a couple of locations. We'll provide additional clarity on that expanded list tomorrow. I expect the majority of those will be pet-friendly, so by all means bring your pet, but listen to radio and television for the best location for you and your pet, and we're working on those additional spaces, not only facilities tonight, but facilities tomorrow. So don't let the pet defer or deter your evacuation. Just listen, and we'll have some local locations that you can go to that will be appropriate for you and your pet.
All right, great information. Dan Summers, thanks for your time with the Collier County Emergency Management Agency. Again, you heard it from him. Do not let the fact you have pets delay or discourage you from evacuating. You can evacuate with them, but also make sure you bring first food for them, but also make sure you bring a cage or a crate for them as well. You just can't have them on a couple of leashes coming into the shelters. Make sure you have a proper place to secure your pet in these shelters, and they are welcomed here across Collier County. In fact, most counties will have a place for you and your pet, so there's no excuse to not evacuate these mandatory evacuation areas. And while the risk for storm surge is sky high here, let's head over to the other side of the coast in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and my colleague Mike Bettis. And Mike, there too, there are some mandatory evacuations. Are you still seeing that same pushback that some people are like, well, you know, that they always have an excuse of why they are not going to evacuate, some because of pets, some because they want to look out for their stuff. Are you still seeing kind of a pushback from people there too?
I mean, there are people that do want to stay. I mean, I think you're going to have that with every storm. There's always going to be somebody, right? But if I would say this, we have run into people say, I live in a building that's only like 2 years old. It's built to code. I live 5 stories up. I'm out of surge. I'm on the backside of the winds. I think I'm okay. I'm like, at that point, in my opinion, like, okay, if you feel confident and you feel like you're out of harm's way, especially for surge, I'm okay with that. But I think they also realize no one's coming for me if something bad happens, too.
That's
and that's the risk that you run, right? The good news is, just like Paul was mentioning, we do have pet shelters that are also open here. So there are 2 shelters that take pets here in the county, in Broward County. One's already full. You can't go to Millennium anymore. You can't go to Millennium Middle School. They have other shelters that are open for pets. Check online for that. Let's talk a little more about the forecast, because now it's getting to be crunch time, right? For Fort Lauderdale, we think the winds really begin to pick up tomorrow. We had winds this evening, 20 to 25. Hurricane force winds probably won't get here until Sunday, but tropical storm force winds will begin in the morning. They'll last through Sunday evening. 100 mile-per-hour winds are in our forecast for Fort Lauderdale beginning Sunday morning through Sunday evening, okay? I know that the eye may be shifting a little bit farther west. The forecast for it, okay? But we're still going to see significant winds.
Better get the hell on down the road.
Will toss trees, will cause power outages. A foot to a foot and a half of rain coming away. That'll cause some flooding. And then we've got an opportunity for surge. 10 feet of surge we think could be coming our way. And that means that where I'm standing here, Fort Lauderdale Beach, the water will be over my head, over A1A, and likely into the first floors of a lot of the businesses and the condos that are here and hotels right along the street. There's going to be a lot of water here, and it may take some time for it to get out.
Yep.
So just be patient with that.
Might be
and you know, as soon as the storm passes, the winds come down, you won't exactly be able to just zip right back to your home. It may not happen that way.
Right.
Let's also talk about flights, by the way, because the last flight left Florida, Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood International at 7:45 this evening. No more flights in or out. Airport has ceased operations at this point, and many of the airports are ceasing operations now. Look at all the cancellations we have for tomorrow. About 2,000 flights have been canceled at the major airports in Florida. We're talking Miami, and Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, and Tampa, and Key West. I mean, they are just racking up now. So no way you're getting in, no way you're getting out, especially in South Florida. Just keep that in mind. Flights not going to happen, especially with the forecast that we've got going on here. All right, Paul, at this point, we're now just waiting on the weather, right? I feel like in so many places, they've done their due diligence. Now we're just waiting for the big show to come. It's going to be here sooner than later.
Big show. Big show. 400 mile wide.
I know our colleague Mike Seidel, he shot some video of some beach erosion already on Miami Beach. Have you seen that a little farther north where he is, where you are right now in Fort Lauderdale?
No, we haven't seen that quite yet. What we've seen is just a push of seaweed that's come onto the beach. That's about it. We've got some white caps out there, but I haven't noticed that it's eating away at the beach yet. But I think we're just going to get that steady rise with the onshore flow here. And then eventually I think we're going to eat away a lot of this beach, and most of it's going to go underwater as well. So I hope you got a good look at it today, because it's going to look drastically different come later this weekend, unfortunately.
Yeah, buddy.
And real quick, Mike, I know here in the Naples area, very difficult for anyone to get a hotel room around here. Yep. Tons of hotels in Fort Lauderdale because the cruise ship port right there as well. What about hotels? Are they closing up shop? Are they pushing people out of the hotels too?
Yeah, especially everyone that's east of Federal Highway where they've ordered the mandatory evacuations. There's not a single hotel along A1A here that's open. They're all shut down. And keep in mind, Paul, these are really fortified hotels. I mean, they could take a beating. Not a single soul in them. I think that's amazing. So it's hard to find a place to stay.
Yep.
All right, Mike Pettis in Fort Lauderdale, thanks for that. And again, as Hurricane Irma continues to approach the area, it will be a Cat 4 or Cat 5. Here's Mark Elliott with the difference is what the categories of hurricanes bring when they approach land.
Yep, listen up. Listen
I'm
up.
Gabe Gutierrez at Miami International Airport, where today emotions ran high and patience ran out. This woman separated from her luggage when her flight was canceled, her chemotherapy medicine inside. She and thousands of tourists stranded in South Florida as Irma takes aim.
I don't know what to do.
Manuel Echevarria and his family aren't sure where they'll ride out the storm.
I'm extremely worried. I have 2 kids. I need to take care of my family.
Yep.
Over the last few days, Miami has had almost double the usual flights to get people out. American, Delta, and United all adding extra trips.
We're working very, very hard to accommodate thousands of people coming through here.
After stranded travelers spent the night here.
We've been here with Katrina, Vilma. Nothing really frightening us is.
This afternoon, hundreds were bused to emergency shelters.
I want to reiterate that our airport is not a shelter.
Today, ahead of the storm, the last cruise ship left the port of Miami after thousands of tourists were suddenly dropped off in the middle of their vacations.
They didn't give us an option. They didn't give us any option. They just basically told us that they're just going to put us off in Miami, and we basically had less than a day to figure out.
Natasha Allen was on a 5-day Caribbean cruise for her honeymoon.
I was like literally crying. We had one day with everything was nice, and then the next few days on the cruise was just pure chaos, and everybody was really upset.
Tonight, some hoping desperately to make the last flights out, others hunkering down, far from home.
Damn. That's sickening. is heartbreaking. Well, I hate to tell you guys, but life goes on is all I can say. We just do the best with what we got and be proud we can do what we can with what we got. You know, that's all I can say. I mean, I've been there, done that, and I know what it's like, and it sucks. And one day, things prayingly will go better. That's all I got to say. Talk at you later. Bye.